Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live. Today, I'm going to talk about what is the best way to learn phrasal verbs. So, I see that we have a few people joining us live now. There's my computer dinging. Hello, hello. Let me know where you're listening from. And if this is your first time to join me live or to watch the live recording, either one. So, I had a request from a student to teach about words or phrases really that end in the word up. And so the phrases that this student gave me were phrases like stand up, give up, what's up, speak up. Actually, some of these were ones that I added. Get up, sit up, straighten up, and bundle up. So I'm going to talk about all of these today, but I first want to talk a little bit about what's the best way to learn these kinds of phrases, which all except one of them are called phrasal verbs. I'm going to type that in the chat here live. And if you are watching the recording, the way to see the chat, which will be on the side of the screen, is to take if you're on a computer, take your computer view off of full screen so that the picture is smaller, and then you can see the chat on the side. If you're doing it on your phone, I'm not sure exactly what you can do. So I want to say hi to everyone who's joining live from Korea, London, Poland, Lithuania, Mexico City, Poland again. Fabulous. It's great to see everyone, and thank you for joining me live today. So, I have some questions for you to start off with. Hey, Jeff, good to see you again. The first question I have has to do with another comment I got, which I have received two comments about the quality of the videos when I go live. I know the quality is not that great because I'm recording on my laptop. So, a couple people have suggested that I get a webcam. Um, I am not a technical person. As a teacher, I've taught in classrooms. I've never had to really deal with a lot of the technical stuff. So if you know of a webcam that I could put on my uh, MacBook, I think is what I have. It's a Mac product. So that I would get better picture. I would love for you to put that in the comments, and especially put it in the comments of the recorded version because these comments going so quickly, I don't always see them. Okay, Jeff has a question. I see your question, Jeff, but I'm going to get to that in a little bit because I want to stay on topic with phrasal verbs. So, a phrasal verb, I said several phrasal verbs just a little bit ago. The question is, what's the best way to learn phrasal verbs? Do I need to learn phrasal verbs? And what do these phrasal verbs mean? So let's start with, do I need to, which is actually this one, but do I need to learn phrasal verbs? So my short answer would be yes, but let me say a little bit more about that. You can speak without using a lot of phrasal verbs, because most phrasal verbs or all phrasal verbs have another way of saying it, like most things. You can find another way to say something. So, for example, very common phrasal verb is to keep on. I'm writing it in the chat. To keep on means to continue. So you can say, I'm going to keep on talking to you in this live or on this live, or I'm going to continue talking to you on this live. They both mean the same thing. So if you know the word continue, you don't need to know the phrasal verb to keep on, to keep on. But native speakers, fluent speakers will use these phrasal verbs all the time. So in order to understand what they're saying and not get stopped every time you're listening and somebody uses a phrasal verb and you're going, wait, keep what? What are they keeping? Then you need to at least understand phrasal verbs. And if you understand them, you're going to eventually start using them. So that's why my short answer is yes, you need to use them. Can you learn a lot before you need to learn phrasal verbs? Yes. When do I recommend you start learning phrasal verbs? As soon as possible, even as a beginner. And I'll tell you why. Because phrasal verbs are such a huge, pardon my dog here. She has been barking like that lady lately. Effie, look at me. She's very good at responding though. Even as a beginner, if you start to learn them, it will be easier as you continue, as you keep on learning. Okay, so if you have not learned phrasal verbs so far, I would suggest starting to learn them as soon as possible. So if you're listening live, let me know. Have you learned phrasal verbs? Are they difficult for you? Even if you're listening to the recording, are they? What is a way you like to learn them? Um, Let me know your thoughts about phrasal verbs because I think this is a very important topic. We actually have several videos about phrasal verbs. So that leads me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is what's the best way to learn phrasal verbs. So I think the very best way is to combine a few different ways. I think this is the best way for learning anything is to have more than one way that you do it. So I'm going to talk to you about a few ways to learn them and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I think about these different ways of learning phrasal verbs. So my favorite way to learn anything like this, vocabulary, phrases, phrasal verbs, collocations, idioms, any of these kinds of things that in the past we would get lists of them and learn them or like read them and try to memorize them. This is not my favorite way. In fact, I think this is not a very effective way. However, if it works well for you, I think you should keep doing that. Personally, I do something like that in combination with other things. I did not teach my children to learn that way. I'm sure they learned it from other sources, but I didn't teach them to learn that way because I know that it's not one of the most effective ways to learn. So, if it's not something that you were taught to do or that you feel really comfortable with, I would say don't try memorizing. Instead, you want to work phrasal verbs into your natural learning rhythm. I've been talking a lot about your natural learning rhythm or the way you learn as a whole. So, today I'm going to talk to you about some phrasal verbs. So, you're going to be learning some phrasal verbs. And this, I think, is a good way to start. Start by choosing some phrasal verbs you want to learn. Now, having said that, I personally think for me and most of the students I've worked with, the best way, I hate to say best, the most effective way to learn phrasal verbs is to listen to them. If you listen to anything in English, you're listening to phrasal verbs, even if you don't know. So don't worry about that. Listen to an English podcast, a television show, a YouTube video, conversation, whatever it is, you're learning phrasal verbs. Listen to more, read more. Listen more, read more. Those are my number one suggestions for you. And of course, if those are difficult for you, I suggest working them in and trying some other things that are easier or more effective for you along with that. Um, so let's talk about a way that I think is effective for a lot of people and comfortable for a lot of people because it is similar to the way they've learned all of their life. So let's see what you all have to say. Aldana says phrasal verbs are very important. Yes. Beirut says, I like them and I'm happy learning phrasal verbs. Excellent. Mehmet says, in context. Yes, in context is exactly what I was saying. And if I mispronounce all your names, I'm so sorry. I am trying to get the pronunciation correct. MI says phrasal verbs are very important in English. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. So let me share some phrasal verbs with you, and then we're going to talk about how you can, after you've learned with me on the video, which, by the way, I think is a great way to learn from myself or another teacher here on YouTube. Look up phrasal verbs and find someone you feel really comfortable with and learn from them. We have several videos on phrasal verbs. Two of our most popular phrasal verb videos are by Tianna. So I will link those below so you can go and watch those after you've watched this one. And you can use some of the techniques I'm going to share with you today. So I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay, the list. So the first phrasal verb that was sent to me was sent by Xavier Enrique, long name, ended in 6803. I hope you're watching or I'll tag you. One of the first ones that Xavier sent was stand up. So I wanted to start with this one because this one is relatively easy to figure out. Figure out, there's another phrasal verb. This one is relatively easy to understand. You can look at it, and even without context, you can kind of understand it if you know the word to stand. So let me use it in context. If you were all here with me sitting at your desks, I might say, everyone, I need you to stand up. It simply means to stand. It is actually synonymous. But when we speak English naturally, it's very common for us to say stand up. This is one that isn't very far from the meaning of the verb that it contains, which is stand. Similarly, another one, sit up. I'll put that one in the chat as well, or the comments. If I'm already sitting up like I am, somebody might say, Tanya is sitting up in her chair. I'm sitting up in my chair because I'm sitting in the chair. I'm sitting up. I'm still sitting in the chair when I'm sitting like this, but I'm not sitting up. It's very common for parents to say, sit up and pay attention. Now, I can't say I totally think this is necessary to say to our children. I think it's a little bossy, but I understand why that happens. So what they mean is sit up. Sit up straight is another phrase we use, the whole phrase sit up straight like this instead of slumped. I'm slumped in my chair. Here's the word slumped. I'm slumped in my chair. And some people consider this disrespectful. And in fact, it might be disrespectful. But just a little aside on what I was saying about that. If you get to a point where the person is disrespectful like that, there might be other things you need to work on, like trust issues, things like that. But today's video is about phrasal verbs. I just felt like I wanted to say something about that because I think it's good for us to understand the tone we use and the way we say something in another language when it might be considered bossy or rude or anything like that. Okay, so sit up and stand up have the same meaning, similar meaning. Stand up means actually stand up. Sit up is sitting up instead of sitting slumped. Now, sit down, of course, you're standing and you sit down means to sit in the chair. But we're going to focus on the ones that say up because this was the request I got from Xavier. Okay, so those two, I wanted to start with those because they're relatively easy. Relatively, I mean, compared to these other ones, they're a little easier to understand, either just from the phrasal verb itself or from context. Some of these others are a little more challenging. So let me go to get up because it is probably the next step up. It doesn't really, you can't know exactly what it means just by hearing it, get up. If you've heard it before, you might know what it means. If you know what it means, put it in the comments to get up. I'll write it in the comments here. And see that Mehmet says sit up may mean concentrate. Am I right? Yes, it doesn't exactly mean concentrate. So you're not going to see that in the dictionary, but it is implied. Sit up and listen implies focus on me. So a lot of things we say are implied, are not you're not gonna find it in the dictionary, but it's good to know what we're saying. A lot of times we're saying more than the words we say with our body language, our uh, voice tone and volume, our gestures like I'm making now. These are gestures. That was my table that made that squeaking noise. Okay, so get up. Has anyone said what to get up means? Let me give you some context. I could say, I am going to get up early tomorrow because I want to work in the yard before it gets too hot. Let me say it again. I am going to get up early tomorrow because I want to work in the yard before it gets too hot. What am I going to do if I say I'm going to get up early? I'll give you a hint. It's synonymous with another phrasal verb. Not synonymous. I shouldn't say synonymous. We sometimes use it synonymously with another phrasal verb that ends in up. Okay, I can't read this word. Holy Zach, I think, says, I get up early in the morning today, or I got up early in the morning today. That's a good example. I get up when I'm going to go shopping. Yes. So there's two slightly different meanings. Yes. This name is, I think, in Russian, so I can't pronounce it, but to get up can equal wake up, but not always. You're right. If I say I get up at 7, I might mean I wake up at 7. But more specifically, I might say I wake up at 6:30 and I get up at 6:45, or I wake up at 6:30 and I get up at 7. So specifically, when we wake up, we're awake. When we get up, we actually get out of bed. This is one meaning. We could say, I'm going to get up and go. This means I'm going to stand up and go. So anytime we are sitting down, lying down, and we are going to stand up, get up, and be higher than we were before, that's get up. Okay, here's another example. Sometimes I wake up, but I don't get up. I stay in bed. Thank you, Juan. Great example. Oh, I missed a couple. Uh, I'm going to get up early in the morning since I have to finish my project. Very good example. Here's another one. Sandra, I used to get up at 6 o'clock every day. Great example and great use of that word. I used to. Sometimes oh, I did that one, Juan. Thank you. Aldana, I wake up early in the morning because I go to work early. Another good example. Get up can equal stand up after waking up, or more specifically, getting out of bed. Here's another. Sophia, hi. On weekdays, I get up at 5:30 because I go to work. Excellent example. Marcos, I get up from X, from wherever I am. I get up from X. I get up. We don't say I get up bed. We might say I get up from bed, or I'm going to get up from bed. From, no, no, from my bed. Joe says, why do you use phrasal verbs if many times you can replace it with only one word? That's a great question. One of the reasons is that the phrasal verbs are typically more conversational, more casual. And the single word is sometimes more formal. So if you were going to write a paper, for instance, you wouldn't say, keep on. I have to think of what you might say in a paper. Keep on doing the same thing. You would say, continue doing this. Because when you're writing a paper, especially if it's academic, you're being a little more formal. So that's one of the reasons. The other thing is that it's just the way it is. Sometimes I want to say, not all the why questions have been answered. So it is such an integral part of our language. Integral meaning it's deeply ingrained. What's another way to say that? It's a part of, it's such a part of our language that it's natural. It's completely natural for us to use phrasal verbs. Most native speakers don't even know that they're using phrasal verbs. I did a video on Instagram you might want to go check out. Okay. You're welcome, everyone. Okay. Here's another example, and then I'm going to go to the next one. I can wake up at 7 a.m., but it takes me time to be ready to get up. Great example. Very good example. Okay, I'm going to mark those off my list and go to, I wanted to say one more thing about sit up. So I talked about sit up, but if we say sit ups with an S, sit ups, that's an exercise that we do where you lie on the floor with your hands on your head and you do sit ups like this. You are lying on the floor and you're sitting up to exercise your abs or your belly or your whatever you abdominal muscles. I am not an exercise coach, but I know that we did this a lot in school. Okay, Jeff says it seems that the Latin root words are considered more sophisticated. For sure, Jeff, you're totally right. Okay, the next one I want to talk about that Enrique listed was to give up. To give up. This one is not quite as literal as stand up, which is pretty literal. To give up. Do you know what it means if I say don't give up? Let me put it in a little more context, but go ahead and write an example or tell me what you think it means. Let me take a drink of my tea. I have a little frog in my throat. When we have a, we say we have a frog in our throat. Okay, I have a frog in my throat. So to give up, I was going to give you a little more context. If I am doing something that is very difficult, let's say I have some big goals for learning my second language and I'm tired. I've been working hard and I don't know if I'm making any progress. My teacher might say to me, don't give up. What does she mean if he or she says, don't give up? In life, Sophia says, in life, never give up because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. Good example. Here's Alexander's example. Never give up on your dreams. What do these mean? I'm looking at some of the examples here. Mariana says, and I'd give up forever to touch you. This must be from a song. Goo Goo Dolls. I've never heard this. Okay. The person whose name is in Russian. If you want to tell me what your name is, I can say who it is. But I mean, in I can't even think of the word. English spelling. Said give up is to stop doing something. Yes, it is to stop doing something. And more specifically, it's to stop doing something because it was too difficult or because we thought it was too difficult. Yes, Mariana says it's from a song. Holy Zach says, I gave up getting up early in the morning. So here's two of them together. I gave up getting up early in the morning means I stopped getting up early in the morning. I gave up. It was not working for me. I don't want to do it anymore. I gave up getting up early in the morning. Sandra says, I gave up leaving the city this weekend. So let me tell you a little bit about gave up. We don't give up something and then use the base verb to leave, to sit, to read, whatever. We don't say, I gave up to read. We would say, I gave up reading. I gave up. If it's a noun, we can use the noun. I gave up sugar. Means we stopped eating sugar. We can give up something that's a bad habit. Like so for instance, I gave up smoking. I didn't give up smoking. I've never smoked. But if you did, you could give up smoking, ing. But to give up sugar, we just took out the part that says, I gave up eating sugar. And we just say, I gave up sugar, or I gave up carbs, or I gave up meat, or I gave up sodas. We just mean I gave up eating or drinking those things. Okay. Mama says phrasal verb plus the verb ing. It not always, it's sometimes. So Marco says, I gave up getting up early. Thank you. Yes, you could say I cut down on sugar, which is actually different than giving up on sugar or to give up sugar, because to give up sugar, you stopped eating sugar. To cut down on sugar, you are eating less sugar. To cut down on something is another phrasal verb to means to do less of something. Okay, so that's give up. Let's talk about another one that Xavier sent, which was what's up. This is not a phrasal verb, but I can see how Xavier would put it in the same group because it's like one word plus up. What's up? First of all, the word what's with an apostrophe means what is. So the long phrase would be what is up, but we almost never say what is up. Occasionally we do, but usually we say what's up. And it just means how are you? Or it means what have you been doing? What is new in your life? This is a greeting. So when we see someone, instead of saying how are you, we might say what's up. It's very, very casual, usually used between friends. It depends on the relationship you have with the other person. But it is not a phrasal verb, but it looks a lot like a phrasal verb. Okay, yes, it means what is going on? How are things? I see some people put, what's the deal? What's new? Yes, exactly. What's the deal? This is a good addition. If somebody's doing something and we're like, I can't believe they did that. Why are they doing that? We might say, what's up? Like, what's the deal? Why are you doing that? I don't understand, with this tone. So what's the deal is very similar. Okay. Mariana has a list of words. Da, 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 da. It's easy for me because all of them seem like Portuguese verbs. Ah, these verbs, yes. Welcome, Pan from Ethiopia. Teacher, I would be very happy if you could give us an example sentence of any description for the third person singular pronoun one. Xavier or Pun, send me that for another video because I don't want to get too far off topic. So put it in the comments of this video. So I'll put it on my list. Thank you for all of your suggestions. Okay, so here's an example. I gave up to write in English. Hopefully this is not true, but instead of I gave up to write, we would say I gave up writing in English. Okay, I'm already out of time and I really want to tell you one more. There's several more. I'm going to tell you one more. And what's the best way to learn these? Of course, being here is an excellent way to learn these. Writing in the comments is phenomenal, fabulous, wonderful, because you're not only listening, you're practicing and you're getting feedback. Another way is to take the ones I gave you today, which so far, would somebody write these for me in the comments? Stand up, get up, sit up, give up, and then two that are not phrasal verbs, sit ups with a S, and what's up. Take that list and start practicing. If you already knew it, start practicing using it. Start speaking about it. Start making examples. Tell other people about it. Teach someone else. These are great ways to remember. If it's a new one for you today, make some examples. Look it up online. Get some examples online. Look at it on youglish.com, which you've heard me talk about many times. I'm not associated with them. I just love them. I think they're a great resource. But start using them. Start noticing when you hear them. Start noticing when you see them in writing. This is a great way to remember and to learn these phrasal verbs. So I have one more I want to share with you, and then I have to go because I have another student. Okay, I see Sophia put a couple of them. Sit up, get up, stand up, give up, what's up, and sit-ups. Okay, and I see that Holy Zach put one. I was going to do a different one, but I'll put this one because Holy Zach mentioned it. Bundle up. So Holy Zach, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly because I can't see. Maybe it's Holzik. Um, if you know what to bundle up means, okay? If you know, put it in the comments. What does it mean to bundle up? What's this? What is another way you can say this? While you're putting your answers, I'm going to give you some context. I said this just today. I said this word. Actually, we say it a lot in the winter. That's a clue. We use the word or the phrase to bundle up. My friend said to me the other day, I called her. I said, "Would you like to take a walk?" Yes. I said, "Can you meet in 5 minutes?" She said, "Give me 10 minutes because I need to bundle up." And it was cold outside. That's the hint. It was cold outside because it's winter here. I need to bundle up. Here's some examples already. Marcos is saying, "It's freezing outside. You're bundled up. You are bundled up." Um, here are some other phrasal verbs with the word up: pick up, dress up, wrap up. I have a couple others too. Speak up, straighten up. So you could work on these in the comments of the recorded version of this live. Okay, so bundle up is the one we're working on. Patricia, I think, is saying it means to collect. Yes, you're right. It's not even the one I was thinking of. You could bundle up a pile of sticks. If I have, let's pretend these are sticks on the ground. I picked them all up and I want to bundle them up. I get a piece of string and I wrap the string around them. I'm going to bundle them up. I'm going to bundle them up. So this is a bundle. When we put a bunch of things together, it's a bundle, which is a noun. But if I could tie this with one hand, I'm bundling up the pins. I'm making a bundle. I'm bundling them up, which is very different than the one I was thinking of. So you can bundle up some firewood. You can bundle up a bunch of pins. Anything you want to collect, like Patricia said, or bring together is to bundle up. Marcos put his the other way this time. You better bundle up. It's freezing outside. It's to bundle up in this way, which is the one I was thinking of, is to put on a lot of warm clothes, like a coat, a hat, a scarf, gloves, maybe like I have on 3 layers. I have on an undershirt, or we call them long johns. All right, here, long johns. It's a shirt under here that keeps me warm. Then I have my mock turtleneck. This is a mock turtleneck, and I wear them a lot. Mock meaning it's not next. Mock turtle neck. I'm running late, but I will be okay. Meaning a turtleneck is taller and you fold it over. This is like a turtleneck, but not a turtleneck. Then I have on a scarf. Then I have on a sweater. Maybe I would put a vest over this and then a winter coat and then a bigger scarf and a hat and gloves. I am bundled up. It just means I have on a lot of warm clothes to keep me warm. It is similar to collecting all my warm clothes on me. This is a phrasal verb that we don't usually have one word to explain it. Another way to say it would, a mother will say to their children, "You need to bundle up." What she means is go put on all of your warm winter clothing. So that would be actually more words to describe that one. Okay, so I talked about why we need phrasal verbs, how to learn phrasal verbs, what phrasal verbs are. I gave you some phrasal verbs to practice. What are your questions about phrasal verbs? What more do you need? I'd like to hear, pardon me, I'd like to know from you what would be really helpful for you for learning phrasal verbs. If you have not already watched our other videos about phrasal verbs, we have a few. I suggest our playlist on phrasal verbs, but I will put some below so that you can pick the ones you want to watch next after this recorded version. And other than that, oh, I didn't get to say to you, be sure and check out our Women's Speak Better groups, Speak Better program. We are always talking about phrasal verbs there. We're always practicing them. Sometimes the women don't even know they're learning phrasal verbs, which I think is one of the best ways to learn is when you don't even know you're learning. And you can check that program out along with other classes. We have classes for men, women, and children. You can find out more information on our website. The website is linked, there is a link below in the description. You can always ask me a question in the description, and I hope that I answered a lot of your questions today. Thank you for joining me live. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your comments. If I missed your question, be sure to go put it on the recorded version of this video, and I will talk to you there. Bye, everyone.